Hey, what is up YouTube? I'm B the Installer. I'm here to show you today how to get rid of these nasty cords on a TV installation. I've had a lot of requests for that, so here's the video to do it. So first you're going to need a couple of items, obviously. So I'm just going to run through it real quick. First, you're going to need a power outlet box. Okay, this is an old work single gang box that has these little flippers on it. You can find these at Home Depot for like, I think it's 80 cents. Okay, you need one of those. You're going to need a power outlet. Okay, so you know, just your typical 49-cent power outlet will be just fine. Then you need a cover plate for that, and then you're going to need, if you're going to run HDMIs up and down the wall, grab a couple of these single gang low voltage pass-through boxes. Okay, again, they have the flippers that grab the drywall. Last but not least, you're going to need a couple cover plates. I get the ones that are the oversized nylon. To give you a good little picture of that, that is a unbreakable nylon wall plate. It's 3/8 of an inch larger than the normal ones. And when I put these next to each other on the wall behind a TV, it creates an exact size. Everything lines up perfectly. So grab these. Just remember that if you're using different ones, or if you have like a power bridge, or you're using like a combo unit that goes behind the TV, that's a little different. The size, you'll have to decide on how big of a hole to cut for that, but you can follow this step by step and kind of learn what you're doing in the same manner. So just follow along, learn on how I run the Aromex up and down and the HDMIs, etc. Last thing that you're going to need is you're going to need some Romex. So this is obviously a huge roll of it. You can get, you know, 25 or 10 feet or whatever, but this is, you know, 50 cents a foot or less. I don't know how much the exact cost is, but pretty cheap. So grab those things. All that can be gotten for under $10. So you're going to have to identify what cords need to go from the TV to maybe the ground for your cable box, or if you're smart enough to cut the cord, let's figure out what cords go just to the soundbar and which power ones you're going to hide. So for me, I'm going to hide this soundbar and the TV power behind the TV, and then all that's going to be remaining is an HD cord that goes from the soundbar to the TV for sound. These cords aren't connected to the soundbar, but these two are. And so what I need to do is I need to mark where I'm going to make a hole in the wall behind this soundbar. And it doesn't matter because the soundbar is going to cover it. So if there's a small hole in the wall where the cords go through, that's totally normal, and that's actually part of the deal. So I'm going to make a mark right here where it's a little bit above the bottom of the soundbar, also going to not be visible from above. And that's going to be a mark where I'm going to make a 1-inch hole behind this soundbar where it's going to be invisible from the front, and then I'll take this off to show you what it looks like. So now that I have the soundbar off, we see exactly where I need to make that hole. That's the only hole that's relevant for this soundbar. So that's one easy step, and if you don't have a soundbar, just ignore this part, but that's to get this soundbar out of the way so that you guys can now see what I'm going to do with the TV. If you know where the TV sides and bottom and top are, you can still do this without the TV being on there. It's definitely helpful to have the mount up so that you don't put the boxes where the TV mount will actually go. Follow one of my videos to figure out how to put the TV mount up. Once the TV mount is there, then you can follow this video on how to get this done. So I'm going to push this TV way out of the way, and that's where it's going to remain the rest of this video. Unplug all this wiring. Okay, so we have taken off the soundbar. We have a mark of where the soundbar cords need to pop out to go into the soundbar. Some of you don't have a soundbar. Let's move on. The other factor is we have a power outlet below, and that power outlet is outside of this stud. The only other thing that we need to run is a power and a HDMI to the soundbar. Really all I need is a power outlet about right here, and then I'm going to make a hole that I'm going to take the cords from the soundbar and I'm going to pop them out here and plug them in. And then when you push the TV back, all you see is TV, soundbar, no wiring going up and down, and that's it. I'm going to run an HDMI up and down just to show you, and just for the customer down the road if they need to connect a gaming system or something like that. So I'm going to do a double box up here, and I'm going to put a low voltage hole there where an HDMI cord will come out. First things, let's get to the power outlet and the HDMI going down the wall, because that's what most people are going to have. And I'm just going to go through the process and show you as I do it. And make sure that if you guys have any other questions or comments that I don't go over here, please post them in the comments. And I'm on Instagram, so Hit me up on the gram if you got any finished projects that you're real proud of. I love to see those. Tag me on that, @B the installer. But let's get to this part here where we're gonna make a power outlet and we're gonna make a box. So I'm gonna show you that now. If we're gonna add a power outlet up here, we need one of these boxes here, and we have to draw it, put it up against the wall where it's gonna end up being. I'm gonna go a little below the mount because I don't want the cover plate to be in the way, and I'm gonna go a little outside the stud so that we don't drill, and when we cut with our knife, we're not gonna be cutting into a stud. So I'm gonna use that. You can use a level to level it out if you need to, but then we make marks around the outside of this box, and make sure that you don't make them up on top here, because if you make this too tall, this box will just fall in the wall, okay? And so we put it up, we square around there with a pencil. All right, and now that is where I'm gonna cut for this box. So we have the height, which is 3 3/4 inch, because I had measured that with the blue high voltage box, and we're gonna cut a hole. But to get the width here, I know from my experience that using the 2 oversized plates to make it look nice, you actually have to make this about 5.5 inches wide. So I'm gonna actually mark that. I'm gonna go 5.5 inches from the right side and make a little divot in the wall with that tape. And that's the left side. This is the right side of my box. And now I use a level to square it all up. So this is the box that I need to cut right here. That's where I'm gonna have a power outlet and where my HD cords are gonna go up and down the wall, okay? And that aligns with the power outlet below. Make sure that you're aligned with the power outlet below. Don't put this box on the inside, and then you're gonna have a problem going through the stud. So now we have our cutout measured here. Before I cut this out, I'm gonna show you what it looks like below. I'm gonna take the cover plate off. My goal here, as I had said before, the stud is on this side. My goal is to make a box here for my HDMI. So first, I'm gonna pull this off, just use a screwdriver. So now that we have that off, we can see that there's 2 lines coming in. One line goes in, one line goes out to the next outlet is typically how it works. We're gonna try to bring down the wall the other electrical line for our TV and bring it through this hole, connect it to this power outlet, and we'll be solid. Obviously, you wanna work at the top and get that side of it done first, and then come in here and tie it into this outlet and the circuit, and then you can turn the electrical back on once it's all done correctly. Again, be careful while you're doing this. So the first step though is, as I had said, we want to cut out this box, which will allow us to kind of see in the wall, get a little bit more information, and also it'll give us the area to bring down the HDMI, and it'll give us the area to bring down the Romex, which is what we need. So cutting this box out, what you want to do is kind of be at the same level as this power outlet so the screws can line up. That's the best way I do it, is I make sure that the screws and this screw here where it's going to go through, those are at the same height. So you can simply level it across by putting it right in the middle of that screw, right where that screw would go in. Put your level and kind of make a mark across. Now I know where I want this screw right here, that one to go through to line up. So make it so it kind of lines up. Give yourself an inch or so that you don't break this drywall in between. Maybe give yourself 1.5 inches, 2 inches. You'll still be able to reach in there, but you don't want to have this break on you because that drywall in between is kind of weak right there. So, and I have to make a mark at the top of this where this plastic, you see this plastic right here, will fit in the wall, but we don't want this piece to fall in the wall. So again, I make them at this top hole right there in the bottom, and then you have to go on inside of one and the outside of another. So that's my box right there. That is where I'm gonna cut at the bottom here. I'm gonna make my HDMI cords come out of that hole, and I'm gonna take the electrical and tie it into this electrical right here. I use a dustpan and just set it underneath to catch the dust. I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this box out real quick. See, now I can get my hand in here and I can feel behind here where the electrical is. So that's great in 2 ways. 1, that's where our cords are coming out, and 2, it helps me get the power done right. So I'm done down here for now. So now it's time to cut out that box that we had already measured. Again, make sure that there's no studs in either direction. A good way to do that is to just use a stud finder and go over the area. But because I know that there's a stud to the right here, my first cut's gonna be down to make sure that I don't run into any stud going down, because I know I'm not gonna hit a stud going this way or probably that way. So I'm just gonna cut this out and let you guys do it. It would have been better for me to catch that, but that's okay. So even though that fell in the wall, I got lucky and caught it at the bottom. So now that we have the hole at the top and the hole at the bottom cut, we're gonna run our wiring now. So what's important for me in this install is that I need to run the Romex for the power outlet, and then we have an HDMI that's gonna, you know, power a game system or a cable box or whatever. So I'm gonna run these two first, and then I'm gonna worry about the soundbar next. So there's a couple ways you can run it. One, you can just try to snake it down the wall like this. You know, in this instance, I think it would go because there's not a lot in the wall. It's an internal wall, so there's no insulation. But I do want to show you that if you do have insulation, you can use a fish tape. A fish tape is great. You know, you just want to use the fish tape. You want to have your hand behind it and kind of keep it close to the front of the drywall and just keep pushing it down the wall. And then at the bottom, it's going to come out. So I'll show you how I use this. The fish tape really takes the guesswork out of it. A lot of people may have insulation. It might be an external wall. There's a lot of variables, but if you have the fish tape through, you know that you should be able to pull wiring back through. So I use a fish tape when needed, and I'm going to show you to tape it now. To tape, you should tape the cord first, or many cords, but you want to make sure that what goes back up the wall takes the end of the cord with it. A lot of people will try to do it backwards, and they'll take it up the wall and then it gets snagged on the cord. So you got to put the cord on the fish tape, and you have to make sure that you tape the top end. So go ahead and put the tape above your end, but make sure that it gets to the end, and then go ahead and angle it down and keep angling it down until you get that first cord tied on there. Now that that first cord is tied on there nice and tight, then you can pull other cords, or that you can tape other cords that go along with it. And in this instance, we're just doing one cord, and we're going to go with the piece of Romex that will power this. So you can go ahead and you can put it in front or behind, but I just want to make sure that that HDMI is safely taped on there. So sometimes I'll just go below here at the end, and I'll tape that on as well. Same way with that end. Make sure that you get it up nice, taped up nice and strong, so that this is what you should have here, so that you can just suck it right up the wall. And fish tape is really, you know, not perfectly easy, but it's not too hard. Sometimes it's a two-man job or two-person job where you can have one person kind of feeding it up the wall and the other person pulling. But let me tell you one thing. Don't just assume that you can pull it up, because sometimes it gets stuck, as you can see right there, okay? So I just kind of feed it in, and I kind of pull up as I go. And as you do that, you'll see that you can keep feeding that up, and eventually you can either stick your hand in there and pull it the rest of the way, and there you go. So now we have the cord up here, and we have both of them successfully in the wall. And I'll just take the tape off real quick. So now that we have these wires in the wall, we have to actually put a power outlet and the low voltage box for this. So it doesn't matter which way you want to do it. You know, it depends on which way the cords are going to go. Are they going to come over here for where the TV is, or are they going to go across the other side to where the HDMI connections are? In this instance, it's kind of over here, so I'm going to put the power outlet on the inside, and then I'm going to put this HDMI cord on the outside. So we'll do the power outlet first, and then we'll just run the HDMI cord second. So the tools that you're going to need for the rest of this are pretty basic. You're going to need a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver for the box and the cover plate. We need basically to get this in the wall. We got to put it in. We're going to have these holes right here. We're going to pop one of the holes out and run the electrical line through, stick it out about 9 inches or so we have some excess. I use the drill here to kind of like pop that hole right out, kind of push it through like this. So now we can go ahead and feed the electrical line in there. And then once we have that in there, coming out, like I said, about 9 inches or so, we're going to go ahead and fit that into the wall. And if it's a little small, you know, again, like I said, I'd rather have it a little small than a little big, because I have had times where, you know, the box just falls in the wall because these guys don't catch, and that's a really hard thing to overcome. So make sure that you don't cut this hole too big. So I'm okay with it being a little small. That's fine. It's not the end of the world. We just take our knife and we just give it a little bit more. You can even kind of scrape it on the top and bottom to give yourself a little bit more room. And what we want to do is make sure that that fits. So now it fits in there flat, and while it's flat, we can tighten it up. So you'll see that it kicks the bottom out. That's how you know the top is tight. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. There you go. All right, so that's nice and tight. I'm going to go ahead and put the low voltage box in the same way. You got to create the distance between them so that the two cover plates fit. If it's a little bigger, you can always push them in together, but for now I'm just going to go ahead again, kind of hold it so that it doesn't bend past and break that plastic off. And the same thing here. Alright, so now we're nice and snug. Both of those boxes are in there. So these two are good to go. Let's put the power outlet on. So for doing this, it's nice to have a knife here and it's nice to have a plier so you can strip the wire. So first what I'll do is just carefully, without cutting yourself, because I've done that before, is give it a little slice down the middle and pull off the excess. And then the excess I kind of just cut off. Pulled it up a little more there. Okay, so now we have it stripped back. All right, and we have three different things here. The black one is the hot lead, the white one is the neutral, and the copper there doesn't have anything is the ground. So we want to match them up. You can watch other videos too if you want to get specifics, but you know, black and brass is always what you want to look for. So the black goes on the brass side. So we're going to pop it in the back there. The neutral goes on the opposite side, and the neutral normally is on the same side as the ground, which also can help you. So make sure that you put them on opposite sides. You can wrap them around the posts if you want. It's a little stronger connection that may last longer, but that's all you need right there. And then we're going to go ahead and put that ground and wrap it around the ground post. Make sure you wrap it around nice and tight and kind of give it a little twist if you want. And once you have it there like that, we're going to tighten that one up. And that's all there is to that part. So we're going to kind of push the excess back in, and now I kind of bend it up, bend it down, make sure that the wires aren't touching each other in there, and now we're just going to connect that in by screwing the top and bottom in. All right, so there's a little bit of room to move that left and right to make it vertical. I'm going to put this cover plate on, and we're going to put these two cover plates on and make them look nice. So we'll first put this one on, which obviously you can see takes about half of that gap that we had in there. And tighten it up. Our power outlet is done up here. Of course, it's not live yet. It's not connected to the bottom. There you go. And now the other half, we need one of those blank cover plates. And I'm going to show you the trick to that right now. So what I do with this cover plate is I will actually cut a 1-inch hole through it. I'm going to do that for both of them, the top and the bottom. So how I do this is I actually have, I have the cover plate here, I have my duct tape roll, I have the dustpan below, and I have my drill and the 1-inch drill bit here. And how I'm going to do it is I am going to make a hole right in the center of this. So really what I do first is I kind of mark it right in the middle. Doesn't have to be a perfect science. Most of the time this is going to be behind something else. You're not going to see these plates. I have, done thousands and thousands of these, and I don't think I've ever had a customer complain if the hole wasn't perfect. So we go ahead and we set this on top of the dustpan so that if we accidentally push through and it hits the ground, it's not going to mess up this person's floor. It's really just going to hit the dustpan. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin it right in the center, and I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to put my feet on opposite sides so I can hold the cover plate still and pop a hole right through it. There you go, piece of cake, that's one. So now that we have cut out this cover plate, we're going to go ahead and put it over the HD cord, and we're going to use the screws and screw it right in place. So there you go. So as you can see, it's a little bit off. You can actually just use a flathead screwdriver and you can kind of manipulate the boxes to make them look even prettier. Just kind of pop it up a little bit, square it up, push this one out a little bit, push them together a little bit if needed. But look at that. Now you have a nice clean look and your cords are concealed. So that's the top. Now we're gonna switch out to the bottom, do the same thing, connect our power outlet, get our HDMI cover plate done, and then we'll address the soundbar and any questions. Welcome back to ground level here. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this up by hopefully just having this HDMI cord left, but we gotta get rid of this, this Romex. Obviously that needs to go into the power outlet. So as I had said, having this hole here gives us the opportunity to reach in and kind of figure out what we got going on there. And for me, I can see that there's a little bit of room. Each one of those electrical lines is coming through one of the holes, but there's room for 2 in each. So first we're gonna get a good distance. We needed to come over and out, so I kind of make sure I have a little excess. And so if you have another 9 inches sticking out of this, this box, it's good. So make sure you have a little extra go over and out. I'm gonna cut it off. And so now that I have this portion here, I'm gonna push it back in and I'm gonna feed it through that hole. Okay, I got it in there. And so now I can pull it out and I'm gonna use one hand to keep feeding it in and one hand to keep feeding it out or pulling it out. There we go. So now I have enough to kind of sit here and go with this one, the ones that are already in there. So now at the bottom here, it's the same kind of situation as in the top. We're going to give ourselves a little slit down the middle there, peel it back, get rid of this excess, and we're going to cut off a little of that excess there. So now, look, we got what we need. And again, we're going to strip back the wire for these 3. Again, I don't think I explained it, but normally, you know, it's about 3/4 of an inch. I think it's actually 5/8 of an inch. On the back of the power outlet, they show you by a mark that you can just use to measure, but you want a little bit more than a 1/2 inch. That's about 5/8. That one's about 3/4. And we're gonna go ahead and feed these in. Again, make sure the electrical's off. Make sure you're not messing around trying to get hurt by getting shocked. So you gotta make sure it's off. So for this one, the neutral on this side here, I'm gonna have to wrap around, so I'm gonna make this just a little bit longer. And then what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna bend it with this pliers to kind of go to see, I bent it in 180 there, so I can wrap it around that post, and then I'll screw it in. So as you can see, I'll go ahead and we're gonna unscrew this one so that we can attach. And I'm gonna go ahead and bend it around that post as I had said. And I'm gonna hold it still as I screw it back in because sometimes it moves on you. So I'm gonna go ahead and screw, and there it did, it moved as I had said. So that's good to see. So what I can do is I can actually use my pliers and I can crimp it a little bit more. There we go. So I kind of gave it a little squeeze so that it shouldn't be able to pop back off. So we'll go ahead and screw that back on. And that time it screwed all the way down, so very solid. And then on the other side, because I'm just gonna go ahead and pop it in, because again, this one, there's an open spot for me to pop it in, and I'll go ahead and just do that. And that's the power. Now we just have to tie in the ground. I always proceed like the power is on, even if it's not. I'm just trying to be careful. There we go. So now that we have all the wires back where they need to be, now we can formulate a way to push them back in, kind of get them to go back the way they were. Now we have extra wires, so we just got to make sure that none of those wires are going to touch. Like the ground there was trying to bend toward this neutral. If they touch, or if they're touching when they're in the wall and you turn the power on, it's going to flip the breaker. And I'm going to go ahead and screw this back in. It looks like I lost one of my screws. Put that screw back in. We'll put the cover plate back on. All right, and now all we have left to do is put the other low voltage plate on for the HD cord. And we can screw that in as I had done before. There we go. And we'll put that cover plate back on. There we go. And you can manipulate them and move them around. And you can get, you know, better cover plates if you want for your own house. I mean, this is what I have for products, and this is what, you know, outlet that this customer has. So it's not really my problem to make it look pretty there, but if there's something sitting here, or if you want to go around and mess with cover plates, cool, on your own time. So there you go down there. So let's get back at the top and see how it looks. All right, so we have the top and the bottom back to normal. We've tested power. Power's good. I'm going to show you how I'm going to run this wire for the soundbar. In a perfect world, I would like to have this hole in the middle or near where the power and the cord coming from the soundbar are going to come out. Unfortunately, where this one needs to come out over here, there's a stud in the middle and it's complicated and all that. So it's totally okay to make a hole here and make a hole somewhere in this stud bay where it's above where you're going to see, make a clean hole and then just connect it. So that's what I'm going to do here real quick. I'm going to make quick work of this, show you how I get those wires in and kind of get it all situated, and then we'll go to turning this TV back on. So we'll take that 1-inch bit that we had before, and if you remember from before, we had a hole where this soundbar cords need to come out. There's a stud directly above it, so I'm going to move it just a little bit to the left, but at the same height, so that we're not going to it's not going to be visible from above or below. And I kind of hit the stud as I did it. So I kind of pushed my hole to the left a little bit. And you can see it's not the cleanest hole in the world, but that's okay. That's going to be directly behind the soundbar. So we got the hole there, and now I have to make another one up here where those cords are going to come out. It can be anywhere in this angle. I'm going to go ahead and make it pretty much right below the mount here so it's nice and clean looking. And it can clean that hole up as well. And now I'm going to fish tape between the two holes. And you need to fish tape, for soundbars, you need to fish tape from where the soundbar is going to be up to the other end, because a lot of the times the wires are too big to go the other way. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go and I'm going to fish tape up from here, and I'm going to catch it out this hole right there. And for this soundbar, we have an HDMI cord and a power cord. And I want to just let you know this time, power cords are not supposed to be in the wall. So you have your choice. You can either have a little plastic strip from your TV to the soundbar, or you can run that that cord into the wall like I'm going to do here. This is approved by the client. They understand the risk, they understand everything about it. We are going to do that. They want the clean look. Trust me, most people that do this, I go to their houses, I explain the risk, I tell them why, I tell them the code. They want a clean looking TV, so they're gonna run their power cord for the soundbar on the wall like this. So what can I say? So as I said before, the reason I run the fish tape that way is because look at this cord. I can't possibly fit this in the wall, so I have to pull this end through to where the soundbar will be. And then the trick of this is I'm gonna go ahead and use some double-side Velcro tape, and I'm gonna stick that to the back of the TV. So watch as I do this, and I'll show you running the HD cord and this power cord right now. There you go, we're done, right? No, I'm just kidding. So now is the best part. It goes from looking like this to perfection in just a couple of minutes. We just have to do a couple more things and we'll be finished. One is, as I said before, using this double-sided Velcro. We're gonna take the side off of this double-sided Velcro and I'm gonna slap it onto the soundbar adapter here. And I'm gonna let this hang for a second because at the end, we're gonna just slap it on the back of the TV and plug it in. But to make it easy, I'm just gonna plug this end in here and we'll hang it there for a second. So we're basically finished. I'm gonna throw the soundbar up. The soundbar connects right here with the HDMI again and the power, so we'll connect that power back in and put this HDMI into the ARC. If you don't know what ARC is, it's audio return channel. Soundbars and TVs that have ARC, which is pretty much all of them now, give the ability to communicate. It returns the audio through that HDMI cord. It has to be connected to the specific one and it has to be connected to the exact one on the soundbar. Most soundbars only have one HDMI now, so that's good. And a lot of TV and soundbar combos can control the volume and do a lot of cool things together. So it's great to have the soundbars connected with the ARC versus an optical cord or even just a regular auxiliary cord. So if you have the opportunity to use that ARC, do it. Sometimes you have to go on the TV and set it up to that sound preference, but then it'll turn on and turn off with the TV as you do. So we're gonna go ahead and put this up. These cords are just in the way and I'm gonna pull these back through as I put this soundbar on. So we're gonna connect it back on. There you go. And I will pull these wires up. There we go. And now we can push this TV back. Take that other side off right there. Attach it right here underneath the TV. Last but not least, we're going to take two zip ties and we're going to tie the two zip ties up against this arm here so that everything hangs above the TV and nothing is below the TV. And while doing that, with this arm mount, you kind of have to give a little bit more slack than you would on another TV. So it's not perfect, but all the wires are tied up. They're very clean, and this is going to look fantastic from the front. So we're going to flip it around now. So there you go, look at that. Nice, clean look. No wires anywhere. You can see below here where that hole goes. You can't even see those wires, it's perfect. Looks good all the way around. Nice and level. I'm pretty happy with it. I hope the customer is as well. All right guys, thanks for watching this video on how to hide the wires. It looks great. I hope yours does too. Give us a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. And if you're on Instagram, make sure to tag me on your videos so I can see how you can be the installer.